Hi there, I'm Amanda Cromhote from Truth. Welcome to the Blind Loyalty Challenge. We interview world experts in loyalty blindly. We're hoping to create insight, spontaneity, and a lot of fun through the challenge. The challenge is about promoting the blind loyalty trust, and my book called Blind Loyalty, 101 Loyalty Concepts Radically Simplified. All profits from the book go towards the trust. We hope you enjoy the Blind Loyalty Challenge. Today's Blind Loyalty Challenge is with a friend in the industry here in South Africa, and we've been introduced, well, we knew each other in a previous life, but mutual colleague Sadika Fakir, who was on the Blind Loyalty Challenge, and we both worked with her for a while, introduced and tagged Sarvesh. So Sarvesh Seetaram, he's the managing director of TLC Worldwide Africa. So TLC needs no introduction, and Sarvesh certainly needs no introduction to the world of Africa. Welcome to the Blind Loyalty Challenge.
Hi, Amanda. Thank you very much for having me. Great to be here.
Yeah, we can't wait. I can't wait to chat, and lots of great subjects to talk about because you are quite new in your TLC role. So I'm actually going to take us back to your previous life when you were in Tiger Brands. Now, Sadika actually contributed to the Blind Loyalty book in chapter 69, which is around FMCG or CPG loyalty. And she gave an incredible contribution to that chapter. So my question to you is, which brands are really getting it right in direct to consumer, particularly in the CPG world?
Yeah, I think so. Loyalty is an ever evolving space, right? And what you think you're getting right today actually may not be relevant tomorrow. And I think that's why it's so critical for brands to have the right partners to ensure that they're always at that leading edge, hopefully not the bleeding edge of driving loyalty forward in whichever space they are operating in. I think the one brand that I feel is getting it right and is Coca-Cola. And while it isn't directly in the sort of B2C space as prominently as in the B2B space, they've understood the value of driving loyalty for a brand that is as ubiquitous as they are.
Yeah.
And our ability to help them continually drive home the benefit is, I think, testament to their ambition and our ability to deliver against that. And long may it continue. There's a lot to do, admittedly. I think if I had my co-clients on the call, they'd say there's still a lot to go, but we've
Yeah.
also got to recognize how far we've come on that journey. In other CPG brands, I think there's a lot of brands that do get it right, but admittedly, my feeling is that brands look at loyalty a bit too broadly, and that loyalty really is this almost always on relationship that you have with your shoppers and your consumers.
Yeah.
And brands can sometimes in error think that a campaign you're running means loyalty. It isn't, right?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
actually it's a moment of engagement that needs to be carried through for impact, and that's what we want to see more of. It's and I'm sure we'll get to into the dynamic versus pricing just now, but for me, that's, I think, the shift that needs to happen in FMCG and beyond, around movement away from price and more into ongoing loyalty.
Yeah, we talk actually in all of our strategy sessions and in Blind Loyalty book around how the loyalty program is simply a mechanic to build long-term customer loyalty. And then within the loyalty program, as you've just mentioned, you've got campaigns which are short-term levers within that mechanic. So you're absolutely right. If a brand is thinking a great campaign is customer loyalty, they've got a little bit of a long journey ahead. We always say it's an ultra marathon, not a sprint.
Absolutely. And
It's
what
a
I've found, no, absolutely. And what I found in my short time is I recognize that on Friday this week, it'll be 4 months that since I've joined TLC. So I'm still a newbie in this space from this side of the fence, really. And what I found is that for brands where loyalty has not been a feature of how they've reached the market before, a campaign is almost the validator they need before they can jump into a long-term campaign. And that's very fair because we talk about behavior change that we stimulate. And if we are able to stimulate that behavior change within a campaign, I think it builds a lot of confidence towards making that campaign a program. And that ultimately is where the long-term
Yeah.
benefits can be reaped.
Yeah, it's a good point, Savesh. You're right. Actually, a lot of companies who aren't in the loyalty space actually prefer to have that proof of concept, and it can often be executed via a campaign rather than fully fledged commitment to loyalty and the cost and the upside associated with that. Okay, my second question, what is your personal favorite surprise and delight experience?
Ooh, one that I've received or one that I prefer giving?
Actually, either, to be honest, I don't mind.
Okay. I think surprise and delight. I quite like what we at TLC are able to do with our whole spin and win concept. I think the way that we deliver our loyalty propositions really is about the guaranteed nature of winning for everyone that participates. And I think that's our very unique proposition. Rather than a standard chance of winning, it's like everyone wins. And the
Yeah.
surprise and delight that we do, even before I joined TLC, was actually being part of a campaign that allowed me just to understand the suite of prizes, all of which were very attractive, and then being able to play a spin and win game that allowed me to win one of these very attractive prizes. Now, let me tell you, I was surprised and delighted to win one of the prizes, but I was equally frustrated that I didn't win the other six on offer. And what that did for me as a shopper was encourage me to re-enter the competition so that I could have another chance of spinning and another opportunity at being surprised and delighted. So I
Lovely.
think in that instance, it had to do with some sort of travel benefit. And my family and I love traveling, whether it be locally or abroad. And I think just anything that speaks to me around getting that kind of experience is something that's always going to delight me. So that for me is probably the one that stands out personally. And I'm glad to now marry that professionally with how I can
Yeah,
bring
of
that
course.
to life for more of our clients.
It's interesting how you mentioned, say, a spin the wheel kind of experience, because often we think of gamification and ideas like that for a young, is it for a younger generation? We find when I talk to brands that it actually is for all ages. It really isn't limited to one demographic. It's attractive to across the board, which is just great. I mean, who doesn't want? I've just come away from the Australian Loyalty Association conference, and one of the major themes there was fun. Let's make life fun through loyalty programs, not so serious. Okay, my
Absolutely.
last question, and this is plumb to TLC. So, in Blind Loyalty, we actually have 10 chapters dedicated to the rewards, the benefits, all of the vast variety of options that you can build into a loyalty program. But there's a big debate around, should it be instant gratification or a build up to a bigger reward? What's your view on that?
So I think that both of them are equally important, and therefore, what we should try and do is offer choice to our shoppers and consumers. Instant gratification has been boiling under for so long now, and it becomes an expectation of what consumers expect from a purchase or from a transaction or from a behavior being enacted in response to a call to action. And so, giving them the option to do that is indeed something we should aim to do. But I remember there was, I think it was a financial services ad that really spoke about how kids were offered marshmallows and told, "Don't eat the marshmallow, and it will grow and it will grow." So it was trying to defy that instant gratification
Yeah.
sort of action for kids, which is, I mean, even more difficult for them than for adults. But it speaks to how when you understand that there's a bigger prize in mind, and therefore waiting for that to be realized is worth the effort,
Yeah.
then it plays in your favor. But understanding that not all consumers are the same, because there would have been that child that picked that first marshmallow,
Mhm.
whereas you had a few of them that actually waited till it grew up to be a pile of marshmallows that they could then enjoy. And I think importantly, understanding that not all consumers are the same is so critical in the way that you design programs. And if you can afford choice to them, even if it is a small instant gratification that keeps them in the brand space connected up until the point that a longer term prize or reward is actually made available to them, I think satisfies both avenues, provided the brand can actually sort of satisfy the budget, because that is an important point which it ultimately comes down to the
Yeah.
value of being able to satisfy both of those, instant gratification versus long-term compounded benefit of waiting for a reward.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, you talk about the different types of consumers, but often it's we find from the white paper research we do every year, it's the same consumer wants both. So from a brand point of view, that's even more challenging, like to understand that it doesn't split beautifully by some segment or some demographic. It's like
Yeah.
the same person, me, like wants both, depending on which program or which benefit, so to speak. So, and I think your marshmallow example was ABSA, if I remember correctly. It was cute as anything. I loved it as well. It was
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
wonderful. So thanks, Sarvesh. Cruised your way through. You like had questions from different industries and cruised your way through. So who would you like to tag for me to chat to on the Blind Daughter Challenge?
Thanks, Amanda. That's actually a great chat. So the person I'd like to invite is actually a thought leader in the world of marketing, and I've had the opportunity and pleasure to engage with him on multiple projects. And I think understanding his view and loyalty would be hugely useful to me and hopefully to your audience as well. And it's David Blythe from the business Delta Victor Bravo. And I'm sure that he's going to have pearls of wisdom that your audience would really learn from.
Amazing. I love it when it's not always just pure loyalty folks as well. Like the broader marketing mindset is often so insightful because we get a little bit down a rabbit hole of loyalty thinking sometimes, and we need to sometimes look at the broader picture. So wonderful.
Yeah,
Look forward to chatting to David. Sarvesh, thank you so much.
that's fantastic. Thanks, Amanda. Cheers.